Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. We're brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us. We're going to do all volleyball on this show with head coach Joe Getson. Thanks for being here today.
Well, thanks for having us.
Now, these are good shows to do towards the end of the season, but they're always kind of sad too because you know that it's the wrap up. It's the end of the year. So let's talk about the last match of the season, and that was in the NSIC tournament. From what I was able to see online and through the wrap-up, it was a very good kind of back-and-forth type of match. Everything that you wanted to see except for the final.
Well, we liked the matchup that we got in the conference tournament, coming in as the 6th seed against number 3 Concordia. We had split during the regular season, each winning on the home court. And we started off really well. We came out and won the first set. We were up I would consider a big lead in the second set at 18-13, and we just let it slide away a little bit. A couple mental errors, missed serves, things like that, and they clawed their way back in, being a good team, and they won 25-23. We dominated in the third set. They returned the favor a little bit in the fourth set, and even in the fifth set in volleyball, we played a 15 instead of 25 in that deciding set. We kind of went back and forth. I think they had the lead. We changed courts, the sides of the court at 8. I think they had the lead there, but we clawed to a 13-11 lead, which you should feel pretty strong with. And once again, we just kind of had a little bit of a letdown. It's not much. It's not a big thing, but enough that they scored the last couple points and ended up winning 16-14. So a heartbreaking loss, put it that way.
Yeah. Now, a lot of times from the booth, we'll talk about momentum or how things have switched a little bit. Is that kind of a real thing? Do you sense that people play the way that the game is going?
I think so, and I think it's more of a focus thing that you just take a second or you dwell on the past mistake and suddenly it's 2 mistakes, things like that. And then someone gains. On the other hand of it, we talk a lot about confidence and wanting that confidence, and if you're giving it to the other team, suddenly they can't do anything wrong. So it goes both ways, and that happened to us a little bit.
Can you talk about kind of the flow of the match and how things went? Because we saw during one of the sets you held Concordia St. Paul to that 0 hitting percentage again.
Well, we're playing some really good volleyball. We were playing some really good volleyball. So, we're a good team and belong to play teams like that. So, I think we started off really strong. I really like the atmosphere, as we call it, that the girls created around themselves. We did a good job of managing our mistakes, not making many, and then when we did, just putting them behind us and moving forward. And then, something happens, and like I said, it's generally a loss of focus. Then it kind of compounds itself into an error, and then suddenly you start dwelling on it, and now it's 2 mistakes. And so we limited that to a certain extent, and we were playing in the Pentagon is a beautiful facility, and I think, the movement of the ball was pretty good. So that I think each team had 10 aces, which is a little bit high for this time of year, but I think the ball moving had something to do with that. And we didn't catch all the breaks we needed from the referees, and I'm not here to bag on the referees. However, it sure seemed like this time of year, some of the things that they decided to call really weren't necessary, and I think that got into our head more than anything else.
All right, and then getting towards that 5th set, does the pressure, the finality of the moment, do you think that gets to the players at some point?
I've seen that happen. I didn't see that happen in this match. I was proud of the fight that the kids had, and they truly believed that we were right there and could finish them off, and we know that we have in the past. So I think Concordia just made a play or 2 more than us, and next thing we know, it's 16-14.
Okay, let's talk about maybe some of the individual performances from this match. Who really stood out to you in the NSIC tournament?
Well, I thought Bree Maloney, our setter, did a great job just leading the team. She made some really good choices, set selection-wise. We had an injury the day before we traveled up to Sioux Falls with a sprained ankle, so Paige Christopher couldn't play because of an ankle sprain. Madison Larson, a true freshman, came in and did another phenomenal job for us and played really well. I thought Madison Reisner, our other middle, played well, and Becca Pagel, our libero, had the match of her season. Played really solid.
Okay. I know it's hard to kind of do this, but when you think about if you were able to win that match and seeing how things played out the rest of the tournament,
Sure.
where do you think Winona State would have been at the end?
Well, I truly believe that having just beaten UMD would have been the people we play, the team that we play next. Having just beaten them pretty handily, the way that they kind of struggled at the tournament, I think we could have handled them. And we would have been playing St. Cloud in the championship match. And, you know, I like that matchup as well if we're playing with the confidence that we had at the tournament. So a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas. You know, my hat's off to Concordia St. Paul. They won the tournament again, and they just have that magic and that background where in those crunch times, those kids believe that they should win.
All right, and then the last thing about the tournament, last thing for this segment, it wasn't just the matches that happened. There were a lot of things that kind of surrounded the NSIC tournament. Can you talk about some of those things that happened with your team?
Well, like I said, going there, this is the first time the NSIC held a tournament at the Pentagon, so it was kind of special. Normally, we would have went to Concordia for a midweek game, first round, played just another match. Here we went to the Pentagon. It's a beautiful facility, kind of NBA-style locker rooms, things like that. And then we did a little bit of community service as well. We went to a elementary school and had about 100 kids and did some volleyball skills with them. And just to see the team interact and the joy that was had by the kids and our team was amazing. So that was a lot of fun, and it was also social kind of. Megan Flom was recognized for making the first team, all-conference team. So that was kind of neat, and being able to watch the match before us in Duluth and Augustana, you know, just kind of builds that excitement forward. So it was a great experience for the team.
All right, very good. Well, then after Winona State loses, that was the end of the season because they didn't get an NCAA tournament bid. We'll talk about that coming up on the Warrior Report right after this.
50 pound of baby backs, 50 pound of brisket. Throw in another 50 pound of those chops, too.
What are you boys up to?
Road trip.
Barbecue Pitmasters is here and better than ever. We're searching for the new taste of America's top barbecue regions, where we'll put the best to the test.
If you could taste it right now, you'd be in hog heaven.
Barbecue Pitmasters, Saturdays only on Destination America.
I hope we have a child seat for this.
Perfect.
Perfect. Perfect.
Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. We're brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona. Again, recapping the Warrior volleyball season with head coach Joe Getson. And it's going to be a little bit of a struggle to try to talk about this next part. You did not get an NCAA tournament bid. And we're going to try to straddle the line here between explaining and complaining about the system because it is kind of a flawed system. And looking on social media, there are a lot of people that agree with us. The fact that the NSIC had 8 teams in the AVCA top 25, 10 teams receiving votes overall, but only get 4 bids in the NCAA tournament. Now, from your perspective as kind of an insider on this, a coach, and kind of understanding how the process works, how does this process work?
Well, Division II is set up in a different way than from what the Division I and even the Division III model is, and it's called regionalization. And they set it up so that, one, from a financial standpoint, it's a little less expensive to run. The Division II model is the only model that championship-wise makes money. Division I loses money, even with the TV money coming in from basketball and football and such. But what happens is they keep everyone, they want representation from each region. And so they can't ship us, Winona State, somewhere else. When I was in Division I at Ole Miss, I got shipped to the University of Washington to play a match, Southern California to play a match, and then Berkeley to play a match. So, that's quite a cost that the Division II model just doesn't afford. So even though we may be worthy of that, everyone knows it and what you have to do, and realistically you got to finish in the top 4 in our conference. We got 4 teams in once again. I think the year we got in 2016, our conference proved strong enough that they took a 5th team, and we were the 5th team. But besides that, you kind of know that. It sucks especially when you start looking at the strength of some of the other teams, the quality of the volleyball that they play, but really it doesn't matter. So we've just got to do a little bit better and finish just a little bit higher, and we'll be playing in the NCAA tournament soon.
All right, so just kind of to explain for those that haven't seen it, I tried to map out the top 25 list, and all of the top 25 teams, except 4 NSIC teams and Northwest Missouri State, got into the NCAA tournament. And then you look at those that are receiving votes. Wingate was below the top 25. They're a number 1 seed in their side. Lynn, behind Wingate, a number 1 seed. And then Malloy, who was not even receiving votes, gets a number 1 seed in their region. And again, that's all because of regionalization. But it seems not fair to the NSIC because, kind of as we were talking off camera, they are akin to the SEC in college football.
Well, we do have that strength, and a lot of it is just because of the region that we live in and the quality of junior volleyball, high school volleyball. So we probably play at a little bit higher level. We also don't have a lot of Division I schools in Minnesota, shall we say. Right. So because of that, we have a big advantage. And then the quality of coaching and so forth comes into it. So we play at a very high level. It is very similar to the SEC. There's just a great deal of football. They take their football very seriously down at Ole Miss, as an example, or Alabama, or anywhere like that. So the quality of play might be a little bit better than what you find on the West Coast, as an example. There they justified, they can fly teams around. Like I said, Ole Miss, 3 times we made the NCAA tournament, and 3 times we were shipped across the country, just because of location more than anything else. So, I'd like to make a case that, yeah, we should change the system. And volleyball seems to be the outlier of all the Division II sports, where between the Northern Sun, and I've got to give credit to the Missouri Conference as well, yeah, the MIAA, that, with the strength of those 2 conferences alone, we could take all of our teams and spread them all over the country, and that what would be happening, just like in the Big Ten for volleyball. That's what happens. They just get shipped out to a different region. There's been some talk about it. The championship committee on championships in the Division II world knows that this is a problem. They just don't know how they can fix it. Without having to do that for all the sports, because I think all the sports would argue, their sport is just like volleyball, but it isn't. Right. This is truly quite the anomaly in the sense of how strong volleyball is in the Central region.
Now, going off one of the things that you said, when you did get into the tournament a couple years ago, you felt that the conference was strong enough that maybe they would get that 5th bid. Now, I'm kind of arguing for you and also Wayne State, which is kind of odd for me to be arguing for Wayne State. But at number 13, in the top 25, they're left out. And at 16, you were left out. Do you feel there's any kind of groundswell? I mean, you talk about the championship committee maybe talking about this again. Is there kind of a groundswell within the conference, within this region, to try to get something done to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again?
Well, once again, it's the model of Division II championships, and that's the thing we're coming up against, that this model is used in all the sports. They want representation from each of the regions in the country at the national championship. So let's say they send Winona State to Malloy's region, the Northeast region, and we win that. Well, then there would be 2 Northern Sun teams possibly playing for a national championship. They've gone to that model a little bit in Division III, where they do spread them out a little bit more. There's talk of looking at how we could do that. Whether it's just the neighboring regions and even spreading it out that way, so that the strength of the Northern Sun and the MIA can be better represented from a national perspective.
All right. With all that said, will you be watching any of the tournament games then?
Well, yes, we always turn them on. We've got 4 really good representations. The teams that are representing the Northern Sun, we always cheer them on and hope that they can go on and do well again. And we like to see that, that's for sure.
All right, very good. Well, that's enough of the kind of negative there. Well, we'll take another break here on Warrior Report, and when we come back, we'll kind of recap some of the highlights for the Warrior volleyball season and kind of take a look ahead to next year that's coming up here on the Warrior Report.
You seek the open road, the ride. Big cities, main streets, countrysides. In search of dives, you've got to try. Bold flavors, dipped and glazed and fried. And by your side, there sits the guy. The car, the hair, the shades, high fives, the brisket, corn chip pies that bring tears to your eyes. You seek the open road, the ride. We've got your order. We've got your guide. Diners, drive-ins, and dives. Friday night at 9 on Food Network.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. Getting the right look at the right price.
Perfect.
Is always in style. At Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-60.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report, brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona. Now, after all of that, you're not hanging your head about this season because it was a great season. So let's talk about some of the positives from this season. You set some school records this year.
Well, we did, and I think it's easy to forget when you get caught up in the moment of what we could have accomplished, and we're so close. We really did have a great year. You know what I mean? Finishing 21-8. A year ago, we were 13-15. 13-7 in the toughest conference in the country. We put ourselves in a great position. And all that being said, our lone senior didn't get to play a lot of minutes. Mm-hmm. So we return a lot of the kids that do play and have a lot of young kids that are really pushing the older upperclassmen to be sharp, that's for sure. So, and we did set some records. Probably one of the biggest things that stuck out to me was that we hit 258 on the year. And that's probably a barometer of how good your team is. And that's second all-time in Winona State history. We had our second all-time single match hitting percentage against Purdue Northwest at 507. Seventh all-time with a 12.58 assists per game. The list, there's quite a few of the top 10 that we reached that way. So I think that speaks volumes to the talent that we have. And then there were some individual that got their name in the record book, and that's always really special when that happens. So Megan Flom, we talked about her being a candidate for the Player of the Year. She ends up setting the school record for hitting percentage for a season at 391, kind of blowing that record out of the water. And more importantly, in conference, she hit 443. So she's up for all region awards, all American awards. So hopefully those come her way as we get through this next month. Bree Maloney, our quarterback, our setter, sixth all-time in the single season, an assist per game at 10.88. She's having a great career. We're really looking forward to her coming back and running the team again next year. We have a sophomore, Madison Reisner, that did some things. She's tied for 10th in the single season hitting percentage at 301. Once again, before I got here, hardly anyone had done that. Now it's the 10th all-time. She tied for third in a single season blocks per game. She's already in 12th place for the career blocks, wow. And she's only a sophomore. Yeah. So that really, once again, speaks volumes about the talent that we have coming up. Junior Becca Pagel, 12th all-time in the single season digs per game. She's 8th all-time on the career dig list already, so she's going to finish with a really good in the record books for us. There's no doubt about that. So lots of talent returning, and more importantly, we set out goals that were pretty lofty, and we knocked off a lot of those goals. And I think the girls learned a lot about themselves and what they're capable of. And so it is a really exciting time for Winona State volleyball.
Now, other than what you just said there, were there some younger players that had stepped up that maybe you weren't expecting to play as well as they did this year?
Well, Madison Larson, as a true freshman, through the preseason really saved us and came in and did a really nice job. And then when Paige went down the day before the conference tournament, she came in and once again had a great performance. And I think she learned a lot about herself, and that's what the freshman year tends to be. So really excited about that. We were able to redshirt Callie Jensen. I think her promise is really off the charts and what she's going to bring. You know, the signing class, we signed 4 young ladies, and we're excited about what they bring to the table. So it's going to be, keep an eye on us. And probably one of the neatest things is we set a school record for attendance. So 530 per match. Great atmosphere, and you know, hopefully this continues to grow where the community continues to support Winona State volleyball.
All right, and now along with that, we were kind of chatting off camera. Do you feel that the culture is changing here at Winona State? Do you feel that maybe you're getting a little bit more respect in one of the toughest divisions in the country?
Well, the conference is so good, and you got someone like Concordia St. Paul that's won 9 national championships. Out of like 11.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good. But when we start beating them and pushing them to 5 and taking them right to the wire, I think people do take notice. I think people notice that we were young this year. Sometimes we played a little bit young, but I think we'll get out of that, and I think the maturity will come with this team. And I think we're a team to be reckoned with. And I think the girls have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder with that lack of respect that maybe some of the powerhouses of Duluth and Concordia get. And I think they're going to demand that respect going forward.
Now, in the time since you lost to Concordia to now, do you kind of have a sense that your team that's returning, because you said you only have one senior in Alexis Bass that won't be back next year, do you feel that they see that they were right there and that they could have had something even more special than this year?
You know, I think after the match, and then we had a meeting this week, I think it does resonate with them how close it is. And to us and to them, I think it's a confidence thing that they are that good and they know they can do anything they set their sights on. You know what I mean? Now, we have a spring season coming up where we get to play 4 play dates. They've got to show that. I mean, it's not just words. They've got to go out and really accomplish something this spring as well. But I think they have the right mindset going forward, and I think it's going to be really, really fun spring.
All right, well, let's explain that a little bit since we're all kind of new to the volleyball portion. What is the spring season, and who do you play?
Well, we get 4 play dates throughout the spring. Our spring is broken down into 2 segments. One, we get to work with the girls 8 hours a week. Mm-hmm. Out of those 8 hours, I get 4 of them. So we go an hour a day, probably a lot of individual work, very technical. And then Maria Frichte, our strength coach, former player of ours, gets them an hour a day for the weight room and conditioning. And then once about spring break hits, we get 45 days. And within that 45 days, that's when we can practice as a team a little bit more. And then we get the 4 play dates. In the past, we've played at Northern Iowa. We've played at Northern Illinois, UW-Milwaukee. We try to go to 2 Division I schools and challenge ourselves a little bit. We host a tournament late April. And then, you know, we'll probably go somewhere else, somewhere along the ways. But it's a great opportunity. It's like scrimmaging. You know, it's kind of loosely scores kept sometimes. And a great opportunity for girls just to get out there that didn't get to play a lot in the fall, get to play a lot in the spring and get some repetition in that way.
All right, final minutes in the show here. So you talked about kind of the restrictions that you have. Do you set out like a certain workout regimen, or I want you to be this many hours in the gym, anything like that for the girls in the time that you can't have any access to them?
Well, you know, they went home this week for Thanksgiving. They come back, they have 2 weeks left of school. Our strength coach will give them a workout program. It's kind of good to let their bodies recover a little bit, but it's pretty specific on what they need to do. hopefully they do that. They're not sitting at home eating bonbons or anything like that. And then once we come back in January, we get going at it pretty quickly. So they'll get a lot of repetition and a lot of contacts in there.
All right, very good. And then, so I guess what's next for you then? What do you do in the off season?
My dad always asks, what do you do all day? Recruiting is never ending. Coming up here in December, we'll be heading out to some showcases in Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minneapolis. Then once the season starts, we do recruiting on the weekends with the Junior Olympic volleyball. We go, once again, in this region mostly, and just start evaluating all the way down to freshmen in high school and kind of keeping track of, she looks really good there, we'll see how she progresses as a sophomore and so forth. And then, we put our scholarship offers out there, typically as a junior. That's where we get those types of commitments. So.
All right, very good. Well, I appreciate you coming in this season. It was very informational for all of us to kind of learn a little bit more about volleyball when we haven't, covered it all that much. And hopefully your team and you have enjoyed doing the show this year.
Well, we definitely did, and I think it really helped. Like I said, we set a record for attendance. I think this show helped get people a little bit more interested in it. And once you see it live, it will catch you, and then you'll be back. And it's a neat sport to watch up close. You'll be amazed at how athletic these young ladies are, how hard they work, and how they throw their bodies around to keep the ball off the floor. So we're really looking forward to continuing to build the program, and we know we're going to have more success in the future.
All right, very good. Well, thank you again, and good luck next season.
All right.
All right, thank you for joining us here on the Warrior Report. We'll see you next time here on TV 25.
Perfect.
Perfect. Perfect.
Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
The basket is the great equalizer.
Never even seen this before.
Curveball.
Nobody would eat this.
I can handle 3 dishes in the Chop kitchen.
I'm coming to Chop to take my small little community and put it on a culinary map.
To be the best or consider the best, you have to win against the best.
I've been preparing for it my whole life.
Who's the best chef in the room? We're going to witness greatness.
All new, Chopped, Tuesday night at 9 on Food Network.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
When I grew up in Brooklyn, my parents lived the American dream and taught me what it means to be invested.
In high school, I managed a fast food restaurant. I saw the power of business and the importance of making your money work for you.
In life, it's not just how you invest, it's for whom you're investing.
We want to help every American and work every day to make it happen.
It's all about investing in your future, your American dream.
Fox Business, invested in you.
50 pound of baby backs, 50 pound of brisket. Throw in another 50 pound of those chops, too.
What are you boys up to?
Road trip.
Barbecue Pitmasters is here and better than ever. We're searching for the new taste of America's top barbecue regions, where we'll put the best to the test.
If you could taste it right now, you'd be in hog heaven.
Barbecue Pitmasters, Saturdays only on Destination America.
I hope we have a child seat for this.